It is 6:17 on a Tuesday morning. Your alarm goes off, and then you remember. You do not have to get up. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever again. You lie there for another minute, maybe two, then five. The feeling is strange. You spent 40 years dreaming about this exact moment. No meetings, no commute, no boss, no emails waiting for you. You finally made it. You are retired. A few weeks later, your coworkers take you to dinner. There is cake, a speech. Someone gives you a framed photo from the office. You laugh more than you expected. You cry a little more than you expected. Then you drive home. And for the first time in 40 years, there is nowhere you need to be tomorrow. Most people think retirement starts on the day they stop working. It doesn't. That day is just the beginning of something far more complicated. Because the first year of retirement is where people make the mistakes that follow them for the next 20 years. Not because they are irresponsible, not because they didn't save enough, and not because they made bad investments. They get it wrong because nobody prepares them for what retirement actually feels like. The financial side, the emotional side, the psychological side. And those mistakes almost always happen in the first 12 months. I have spoken to retirees who saved $2 million and still spent the first year terrified to buy dinner. I have spoken to retirees with far less who burned through years of savings because retirement felt like an endless vacation. I have spoken to people who retired early, went back to work 6 months later, and admitted they had absolutely no idea what they were retiring to. Not from, to. And if you are within 5 years of retirement, or if you retired recently, this may be the most important video you watch all year. Because there are 5 mistakes that happen over and over again in the first year of retirement. They happen to engineers, teachers, business owners, doctors, people with pensions, people without pensions, people with $500,000, people with $5 million. Retirement does not care how smart you were while you were working. It introduces problems you have never had before. And the first mistake starts almost immediately. Mistake number 1. Treating retirement like a permanent vacation. This one sounds ridiculous until it happens to you. Because for the first few weeks, retirement feels amazing. You sleep in, you travel, you go out for lunch on a Wednesday. You finally tackle the projects you've ignored for years, and you deserve every bit of it. The problem is that your brain starts receiving a message. This is the new normal. You are on vacation. You should spend like you are on vacation. A retired financial planner once told me something that stayed with me. He said people often spend more money in the first year of retirement than at any point during the next decade. Not because they need to, because they are celebrating. Trips, restaurants, home renovations, helping children, buying the dream car. It feels earned, it feels justified, and sometimes it is. The problem is that people begin making permanent spending decisions based on temporary emotions. I know a couple in Arizona who retired within 6 months of each other. They had over $1 million saved. They had done everything right. Within the first year, they bought an RV, remodeled the kitchen, took 2 international vacations, bought a vacation property they had talked about for years. Nothing they did was unreasonable individually. But altogether, their spending nearly doubled. At the end of the year, they looked at their accounts and had a terrifying realization. They had accidentally created a lifestyle that required far more money than they had planned. The next 20 years suddenly looked different. That is why the first year of retirement is dangerous. Because you are not making decisions with retirement experience. You are making decisions with retirement excitement. And those are not the same thing. I want to give you one simple rule. For the first 12 months of retirement, make as few permanent financial decisions as possible. Do not buy the second house. Do not move across the country. Do not buy the boat, right? Do not assume your spending during the first year is what retirement will actually cost. Because your first year is usually an emotional transition period, not your permanent lifestyle. Most people do not understand that until after the money is already gone. And then there is mistake number 2. This one surprises almost everyone because it has nothing to do with money. And yet it quietly affects almost every financial decision you make afterward. Retirees almost never talk about it, but they all feel it. The loss of structure. Nobody warns you how strange Tuesday becomes. For 40 years, your life had shape. Monday meant one thing, Friday meant another. There were deadlines, projects, meetings, people expecting things from you. Then one day, none of that exists anymore. And for a few weeks, it feels wonderful. Then something unexpected happens. Days begin blending together. Weekends stop feeling special. Time starts moving differently. You wake up and realize it is Thursday, and you could swear it was Monday. People laugh about this until they experience it. Because losing structure sounds harmless, but structure was doing something you never noticed. It was giving your days meaning. And when meaning disappears, people start making strange decisions. They spend more, they shop more, they travel more. They say yes to things they normally wouldn't, not because they need those things, because they are trying to replace something they lost. And what they lost wasn't income, it was purpose. I know a retired executive who admitted something incredibly honest. 3 months after retiring, he started going to the grocery store every single morning, not because he needed groceries, because he needed somewhere to go, somewhere to be, someone to talk to. He missed having a reason to leave the house. He missed feeling useful. He missed being needed. And he isn't unusual. He is normal. The mistake is assuming retirement is simply the absence of work. It isn't. Retirement is the replacement of work. And if you don't replace it intentionally, your brain will replace it accidentally with spending, with boredom, with anxiety, with habits you never expected. And that brings us to the third mistake, the one that catches even the people who think they prepared for everything. Mistake number 3, retiring from something instead of retiring to something. This might be the biggest retirement mistake nobody talks about. Ask someone who is still working why they want to retire, and you'll hear answers like, I'm tired, I'm burned out, I want my freedom, I don't want to answer emails anymore, I can't do another year. Those are all reasons to leave work, but they are not reasons to enter retirement. There is a difference, a massive difference. I once heard a retiree say something that stopped me in my tracks. He said, I spent 40 years building my career and about 40 minutes planning what came after it. That sentence explains why so many people struggle. Because work wasn't just a paycheck, it was identity, it was routine, it was community, it was challenge, it was purpose. And when all of that disappears at once, people often feel something they never expected. They feel lost. You can have plenty of money and still feel completely unprepared for retirement. I know a retired engineer who lasted exactly 8 months before going back to work. Not because he needed the money, because he hated his days. He said every morning felt like Saturday. At first, that sounded amazing. Then it became miserable. He had nowhere to go, nothing to build, nothing depending on him. Retirement wasn't relaxing. It felt empty. This is why some retirees become volunteers. Some start businesses. Some mentor younger people. Some travel. Some become grandparents full time. Some take classes. Some start hobbies they never had time for. The happiest retirees aren't the ones with the most money. They're often the ones with the strongest sense of purpose. Because retirement doesn't remove the human need to matter. And if you don't decide what your next chapter looks like, the first year can become surprisingly difficult. Before you retire, answer one question. What are you retiring to? Not what are you leaving? What are you moving toward? Because if that answer isn't clear, the first year can become an identity crisis. And then we arrive at mistake number 4. This one is financial, and it hurts. Because the people who make this mistake usually think they're being responsible. They retire, look at their savings, and become terrified to spend any of it. I know that sounds impossible. You spent 40 years saving. Why would you suddenly be afraid to use your money? Because saving and spending are completely different skills. Many people become so good at accumulating wealth that they never learn how to enjoy it. Every purchase feels dangerous. Every trip feels irresponsible. Every dinner out feels extravagant. Every withdrawal feels like failure. I have met retirees with $2 million who were afraid to replace a broken refrigerator. I have met retirees who wouldn't turn on the air conditioning in summer. I have met people who postponed visiting their grandchildren because they didn't want to spend money on a plane ticket. And these aren't people who are struggling financially. These are people struggling psychologically. Because for 40 years, the goal was simple. Save more. spend less. Then retirement arrives and suddenly the rules change. Now you are supposed to spend and your brain doesn't know how. This creates a strange tragedy. People sacrifice for decades to create freedom and then never allow themselves to use it. Years pass. Health changes. Energy changes. Mobility changes. Then one day they realize something heartbreaking. The money survived. Their best years didn't. The point of saving money isn't to die with the largest account balance possible. The point is to create options, experiences, security, memories. The first year of retirement is where people either learn this or spend the next 20 years afraid. And then there is the final mistake, the mistake that almost nobody sees coming, because it doesn't happen all at once. It happens quietly, little by little, month by month, year by year. The mistake is assuming retirement will feel exactly the way you imagined it would. For many people, it doesn't. Retirement can be wonderful, it can be freeing, it can be the best chapter of life, but it can also be surprisingly emotional. Some people miss work, some miss their coworkers, some miss having goals, some miss being needed, some struggle with loneliness, some struggle with their marriages because suddenly they're together all day. Some discover that the life they dreamed about isn't the life they actually want. Nobody tells you these things because they don't sound inspiring, but they're normal, completely normal. The first year of retirement isn't really about money. It is about adjustment. It is about learning who you are when work no longer defines your days. It is about building a new routine, a new purpose, a new identity. And that takes time, far more time than people expect. Most retirees spend years planning their finances. Very few spend time planning their lives. That is why the first year feels harder than people imagined. Not because retirement was a mistake, because retirement is a transition, and transitions are messy. They always are. So let me leave you with 5 things to remember. Number 1, don't mistake the first year for your permanent lifestyle. Number 2, protect your structure, create routines immediately. Number 3, retire to something, not just from something. Number 4, allow yourself to enjoy the money you spent decades earning. And number 5, give yourself permission to struggle during the transition. You are not doing retirement wrong. You are learning how to do something entirely new. And that takes time. If you're approaching retirement, or if you're in your first year right now, understand this. The first year is not a test. It is an adjustment period. The mistakes you avoid during these 12 months can shape the next 20 years of your life. And the opportunities you embrace during these 12 months can make retirement far better than you ever imagined. I am Chase Longwell. If this video helped you, leave a comment below and tell me one thing nobody warned you about regarding retirement. I read every single one. And if you know someone who is retiring this year, send this video to them. Because the first year of retirement is where people get it wrong, but it is also where they can get it wonderfully right. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.